Hi everyone, it's David Vaucher here again, back with another video update on this project I'm working on, which is called the Digital Tallybook. Now, for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos on the topic, I'd like to explain just quickly what the motivations were for this project. The first one was just that after I graduated from A&M with my master's in petroleum engineering, I wanted something to do, and I wanted to learn a new skill that would allow me to build something tangible. And technology is obviously a big space to be in right now, so I thought I will tackle programming for Android and actually build an app. The second sort of extension of that was that I wanted to answer a business need. And from my time in the field, I saw that all of these very complex problems were tackled, but something very trivial like organizing all of the field engineers' data into one portable format just really hadn't been addressed very well. And then the third goal, again an extension of the first and second, was that I'm really excited about wearable technology. And you can actually check out one of the proof of concept videos I've put together on this YouTube channel. And it's basically just going through a couple of things that one could put onto a wearable device. The problem though is that it's actually quite hard to create content, in the sense that one needs some programming experience for now to actually get that content to the device. So what I wanted was a robust platform on which to gather data to take to the field, and then actually be able to send that to a wearable device for use during the job. So that being said, you can actually see, here's the start screen. And the idea really is to collect and organize all of the data from start to finish on a job. So you obviously start collecting well conditions. You'd then get your directions to the well site. You'd put together a job procedure. You'd look at the safety aspects of the job by doing a JSA. You'd also put together a tool checklist along with all of the details for those tools. When the job is finished, you would put together and have a job ticket signed. So that would then be sent back to the operator so that they could pay the service company. You'd then put a job report together, so the engineer would go back to the headquarters, put this job report together and file it away. And you'd also want to have the ability to file an incident report and assign it for investigation should something go wrong in the field. So one thing I do want to say before I go through all of these aspects is that I am coding this by myself, and I do have a full-time job, so it is quite hard to make progress. There are some bugs here, there are some things that are unfinished, but certainly if you compare this back to one of the other videos I posted on this project, even just a few months ago, I think you'll see some very nice improvements in terms of usability, navigation, and just general presentation of the app. I've put a lot of effort into making something that's easy to use and user-friendly, and I think you'll see that show up here. So just going through this app, when you open up the well conditions section, there is this navigation bar that comes up, and you'll see that it's a very simple text entry form. So the idea is to input the name of the company you're working for, the name of the well, the location, and then just some brief notes on the job objectives here. Going back to this idea of functionality, I do have a menu here where eventually you'll be able to send data to either a printer or an email. So you can actually make the content on this device, and you can then either just directly print it if you want to use it later, or you can send it to an email. And this is great because if you're actually, even before the job site, if you're going to a client and you're just taking some notes, it's very easy for you or them to just punch in all the relevant data, and then it can be stored or sent on to the next step in the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this navigation bar to get me to the next section, which is directions to the well site. And again, there are bugs in this program, and I know that when I shut this down, that will crash the program. So something I'm trying to work around, but you can still see the functionality I'm putting in here. So what I've done is I've actually attached Google Maps to the app, and you might say, well, why would I do that? Why would I want to go? Why would I want this in this app if I can just go to Google Maps and get that information there? But you have to remember that, again, the idea is centralizing data. Everything should be in one place. And so I thought to myself, if I could basically have everything in one app, that would make the engineer's life easier. So I'm not connected to the internet. I can't show you the feature here, but it works just like Google Maps. So the idea is that you punch in your starting location, so basically your company headquarters. You punch in the rig location here. You hit this button here on the action bar, which will drop 2 pins. You can then see the path you would take to get there. And then you can hit the email button here, and that will allow you to email directions. So again, the idea is having centralized data, but that doesn't lock you into just using the tablet. You can actually distribute it as needed in whatever format you're needing to have it in. So here's the program crashing. Next step is the job procedure. So this works basically in a list format. So the idea is that you create each task one by one. And there's some interesting features here. So I'm going to enter the first task in the procedure. Obviously, I'm going to name it. So I'm just going to call this step 1. And I'm going to put some details here. So step 1 should my apologies here. So should take about 1 hour. So I can basically say what it is, put some details there, and then obviously it's very important to know, when and what time this actually took place. So I can pull up a dialog box and actually set the date and time when this happened. I can tick it to make sure it's complete, and if I want to, I can actually pull up a viewfinder and take a picture of it. So this is a great feature, right? Before I go to the job, I can actually plan out my procedure. I can take pictures of everything to make sure that I have something to refer back to, and this is all in my tablet. So if I click back now, that first item is complete, and I can then go ahead and do the same thing for as many procedures as I have. Again, the idea is that once this has been created, it is not static on the tablet. I can actually email it, I can print it out, and eventually the goal is to actually have it sent to Google Glass. So going back to this idea of having easy content creation on a wearable device, it makes a lot of sense to have an engineer easily be able to create content on a device they're very familiar with, which is this tablet here. Leave that tablet in the truck, for instance, when they get to location, and then send it to the wearable device so they can refer to it in a hands-free way when they get to the location. So the power of this project, I don't think necessarily has been fully realized, but the vision, I think, is that I like to think is actually quite groundbreaking in the sense that we're leveraging existing technology and using wearable technology as a complement to this rather than a standalone solution. So looking down the other sections, they work very much in the same way. The job safety assessment, for example, is just, again, another ordered list. One feature I'll be inputting is an actual JSA matrix, so you can look at the matrix and input all the various risk hazards. And then everything else, again, works very much the same way. So tool checklist, job ticket, job report. The incident report, I can actually show you an example of that email functionality. So you can see that I've got an incident report created here. So let's assume that something didn't go according to plan on the job and someone needs to take a look at it. I can create that incident report, again, giving it a title, taking pictures, and I can hold my finger here. And that will pull up a context menu. If I hit the send button and I choose Gmail, so I'm going to say Gmail and always, what this is going to do is actually generate a report with all of the details there, so I can just immediately assign it directly back to whoever needs to see it. So again, just taking you through the vision of the project, since of course I don't want it to stop at a tablet. I really call this a closed loop solution. So the idea is that eventually everything is as streamlined and user-friendly for the engineer as possible. So in this case, you're seeing me actually create content, right? I'm creating it on the tablet. Eventually, though, I'd like to have an infrastructure set up where I can have templates saved in the cloud somewhere. The engineer will then find out what type of job they're running. They can just select on the tablet what procedure, what tool list they'd like. That will be brought up on the tablet, and they can make modifications as necessary. So you've gone from the cloud to the tablet. When they get to the location, they want to have that available for ease of access. So that then goes from the tablet to the wearable device. The wearable device can basically take input, so you can take notes while you're doing the job. You then get back to the truck, you beam that information from the wearable device to the tablet, and that actually creates your job report. So you're merging existing data, which is the job procedure, along with what actually happened on the job. That will allow you to generate a job report, which you can then email out and then store on the cloud. So we have a closed loop solution where you go from the cloud to the tablet to the glass device, from the glass device to the tablet back to the cloud. It makes things very easy, and more important, it leads to standardization and the possibility of looking at your data. So I was actually just talking recently to a representative from a service company, and not only was I told that the Tallybooks are basically just hard to write in, they're hard to keep track of, and this is something I know from experience. There's also always a lot of information that is forgotten. So companies want to track certain things, and it's hard to do that because the engineer is trying to focus on getting the job done. So if you have a standardized platform here where you can have data input that can remind engineers that they need to keep track of certain things, that just leads to more job efficiency. So my goals for the short term are fixing some of these bugs and adding more functionality. So I'm still working on the JSA section as well as the job ticket section. But eventually I'm going to program the companion app for Google Glass. And once they're tied together, I think that will be a really compelling offering for the oil and gas industry. Current plan is to have this released, the tablet app released, hopefully by the end of the year on the Google Play Store, and then the Google Glass app shortly after that. What I invite you to do if you're watching this video is definitely check out that first video I posted on this YouTube channel for building hydrocarbon bonds. You'll be able to see the proof of concept for Google Glass that I put together. And if you are working on anything similar, or you have sort of tips that you'd like to share based on your experience of developing these apps, I'd really love to hear from you. You can get in touch with me either through my website, which is davidvaucher.com. That's davidvaucher.com. And then my email address, which is buildinghydrocarbonbonds@gmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks so much.